What happened after that grassroots victory is that immediately the power structure moved to criminalize Reverend Pinckney. They threw the election out and they charged Reverend Pinckney with election fraud. If you would believe this, this is following 2000 when Bush stole the election. In Ohio, in 2004, the election was stolen again. But who was charged with election fraud? It was the grassroots spokesperson, Reverend Edward Pinckney in Benton Harbor. There's no time to tell you the absurdity of the charges, but let me tell you, they were totally absurd. He paid 5 people $5 to vote against the recall or some such nonsense. But the other thing that happened is that, keeping in mind that Benton Harbor is 94% black, the first trial ended in a mistrial with 2 black people on the jury. They prosecuted him again, and they worked overtime to find an all-white jury. Benton Harbor is 94% black. But we're also familiar with that tactic of racism in jury selection. It really is a big issue affecting political prisoners like Mumia Abu-Jamal and others. He was put under house arrest. And you won't believe the next thing that happened. While he was under house arrest, he quoted the Bible to criticize the judge who sentenced him. And he was sent to prison for 3 to 10 years because they claimed he broke parole for quoting the Bible. The judge actually said, as part of their case, I mean, just to show you how far they will go to keep down the voice of grassroots and successful and accountable grassroots organizing, they actually said that Reverend Pinckney himself didn't threaten the judge, but that the judge was threatened because Reverend Pinckney invoked the power of the Lord. No, it goes further than that. And that because he's a reverend, he has a direct line to the Lord. And therefore, it was a threat. I mean, that's the absurdity of it. But just to say, we were able to mobilize and take that struggle from a local struggle to a national struggle. The grassroots people of Benton Harbor were up against the civil rights establishment, what we used to call the poverty pimps, the rainbow coalitions, and the NAACP that went to Benton Harbor. And when the people of Benton Harbor couldn't afford to pay the dues to join their organization, they dropped Benton Harbor and left with some money in their pockets from Whirlpool Corporation. This is another thing that has happened that has kept our movement down. The level of corruption and sellout by so-called civil rights leaders as well as elected officials. But I have to end, and I want to say that as a result of the mobilization, the involvement of those of us in the Global Women's Strike, working with Mrs. Pinckney, her husband in prisons, and they kept moving him around from one filthy prison to another to harass him. We did manage to win Reverend Pinckney's release, but on a $10,000 bond. But at least he was home with his family and with his community. This just happened in December. And for those of you who want more detail on that, there is an action alert that I hope each and every one of you will leave here with today that gives you some of the detail I was not able to give in this discussion, and also a place that you could sign a petition and information where you can go online to get more information. But you know, it is clear that with the election of Barack Obama, and before the election of Barack Obama, in Benton Harbor, there were people who really want to make a lot of money. And black grassroots people stood in their way of making that money. And so they're not only trying to destroy Reverend Pinckney and his family, they're trying to destroy a movement. But you know what? The people of Benton Harbor have not given up. They're continuing to call out the corruption. A police officer was busted recently there for planting drugs on people. They have called this illegality of the police Negro removal. They're actually saying that this is part of ethnic cleansing that's going on in Benton Harbor to move people into the prisons and to get them out so that they could snatch the land for their expensive development. So they have not shut down Benton Harbor. You know, they're trying to destroy Detroit and Motown. And now they want black people to be destroyed, to be put in prison, that they have worked to death. They just want them to disappear. And with an Obama administration, and I'll end on that, it is clear that we have to stop concentrating and to hold those who have the intention and the ambition to rise to the top. That rising to the top is not where what we have to do is not the concentration. We have to stop catering to what Selma calls neoliberal ambition. And that we have to concentrate on places like Benton Harbor, because there are Benton Harbors not only all across the United States, but in countries around the world. And that this is really how to use a black man in the White House. You know, when Martin Luther King was killed, he was bringing together, people know who he is, a great civil rights leader. He was bringing together the movement against the war, the anti-war movement, the civil rights movement, the movement against racism and poverty, starting with the Poor People's March. And his view was international, and it was at that moment they killed him. They also killed Malcolm X when he had reached to a similar point. You know, it has taken a long time now for us as a movement in the United States to get ourselves back together after those heartbreaks. And it has taken a long time for those of us who are together in this room to be together in this room, to once again bring those issues that are so vital to our struggle and to our freedom wherever we are. And it has taken a long time to get to that point. And in the meantime, grassroots struggles and grassroots voices like Reverend Pinckney have been brought down. But the fact that we are here together with labor union activists, with the revolutions of the Bolivarian Revolution in Venezuela, the revolution, the indigenous revolution going on in Bolivia, the single mothers' self-defense here in London, England, the women from Guyana, both Afro and India, really shows that it is possible and that now is the time for us to be able to learn from each other, to strengthen from each other, and to move forward and to take back every last bit that they have stolen from us, from Gaza to Haiti to Iraq. Thank you very much.